better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
It's just breathtaking in scope and intensity, the type of messages I receive from all over the country. And I'm just me, I'm not Donald Trump. And so just as his former campaign manager, the number of people who feel betrayed to think that a Governor Romney would get the most prominent cabinet post after he went so far out of his way to hurt Donald Trump. There was the Never Trump movement, and then there was Mitt Romney.
Live from an undisclosed location.
Two sources at the top of the Trump transition team confirmed to MSNBC that they spoke to the president-elect today and that Donald Trump was, quote, furious at Kellyanne Conway's comments on Sunday, suggesting Trump betrayed his supporters by even considering Mitt Romney for a position in his cabinet.
Unchained and unstoppable. Your captain, Howie Carr. Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Media that are lionizing him, and it's pretty sad what they're trying to portray him as. When with just a little bit of research, if you didn't live through it, you could find out what this guy was all about. But first, I wanted to tell you about the terrorist attack in Columbus, Ohio, at Ohio State University. Today, as you know, a Somali refugee by the name of Abdul Razak Artan went berserk today and tried to run down his fellow students, like the guy did in France a few months back, and then he came out swinging with a machete, and he was taken down, neutralized. They're saying I like that word, neutralized, liquidated is another one, at 9:53 a.m. today. Abdul Razak Ali Artan. So we've got something here from this magazine. This is an Ohio State magazine. You know, one of these feel-good magazines. This is why. If you went to college, you probably get one of these in the mail, like a quarterly thing. And you stopped reading it about 10 years ago when you realized it was just PC pap. And I think I can speak for 100% of these magazines, and I certainly can for the one at Ohio State University, because I'm about to read to you. Humans of Ohio State. That's the column. Humans of Ohio State. I guess you could say Abdul Razak Artan was a people person because he was a human. Here's the quote. I just transferred from Columbus State. We had prayer rooms, like actual rooms where we could go pray, because we Muslims have to pray 5 times a day. They spell that P-R-A-Y. Shouldn't it be, considering the events of this morning, shouldn't it be P-R-E-Y? There's Fajr, which is early in the morning at dawn. There's Zur during the daytime, then Asr in the evening, like right about now, and then Maghrib, which is like right at sunset, and then Isha at night. I wanted to pray Ashar. I mean, I'm new here. This is my first day. This place is huge, and I didn't even know where to run down my fellow students and attack them with machetes. The infidels. No, he didn't.
I didn't think that was in there.
I'm kind of ad-libbing here. Back to what he really said. I'm a Muslim. It's not what the media portrays me to be. Really? That's what it says. He's a human from Ohio State. I'm a Muslim. It's not what the media portrays me to be. If people look at me, a Muslim praying, I don't know what they're going to think, what's going to happen. Do you think possibly they thought you were going to get into your car and try to run them over and then attack them with a machete? Is that possible? Well, Abdul Razak Al-Artan is relaxing in paradise as we speak with his 72 virgins. Fortunately, he didn't take out any of us infidels or kafirs or whatever the hell they call us. Anyway, 1-844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. If you'd like to join us here this afternoon, every weekday afternoon, as you know, on Friday night or Saturday, Fidel Castro assumed room temperature, maybe before then, and we're just having it announced to us. And now we're learning that he was such a wonderful guy. I can't believe that he never got the Nobel Peace Prize after what I'm reading about him. The New York Times bid farewell to a fiery apostle. Fiery apostle. The Washington Post, again, owned by a Cuban, I believe. His family's Cuban. I wonder if, I think he probably was born in Cuba. Maybe not. Maybe Jeff Bezos, the guy who founded Amazon. You would think Jeff Bezos, though, even if it's just his parents that came from Cuba, he would know better than to let them call Fidel Castro a spiritual beacon. The LA Times called him a charismatic icon. The Guardian in the UK. Castro's communism has always been tempered by respect for the Catholic Church. That's the one I was talking about at the last hour. He outlawed Christmas for 30 years. I mean, not even Barack Obama has tried that. Come on. Reverend Jesse Jackson hailed Castro's cause of fighting for freedom and liberation. Jesse, if you're listening to the show today, I would suggest that you Google Che Guevara's thoughts about black people. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Give me a break, Obama. History will record and judge the enormous impact of this singular figure on the world and people around him. The Secretary General of the UN, he was a strong voice for social justice. Another reason to throw the UN out of Turtle Bay. There's a lot of good real estate there that the Rockefeller family or somebody should be given back to develop. But the worst, of course, is Justin Trudeau, the pajama boy. Fidel Castro was a larger-than-life leader. Wouldn't death be more appropriate, considering how many people he killed? He was larger than death. A larger-than-death leader who served. I like this. He served his people. In this case, the synonym for serve is oppressed. How about this? Fidel Castro was a larger-than-death leader who oppressed his people for almost a half a century. A legendary revolutionary in order. They'd herd the people in at gunpoint, and then he would speak for 4 hours, and you couldn't walk away. There was no button on the remote control to click it away. If you tried to get away, you were heading into one of the political prisons. A legendary orator.
His longest oration was 12 hours.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. If you have somebody at the exits of the hall you're speaking in with a machine gun threatening to kill you if you leave, people are going to be enthralled by what you're saying. No one's going to make a move for the exit. It's just the way it works. Well, a controversial figure. Wow, that's a controversial statement. Trudeau had managed to say that. Wow, a controversial figure. Okay, here are some facts. 10,723 people executed or disappeared by the Castro regime, according to CubaArchive.org. 5,600 die in front of firing squads, including dozens of minors. 1,200 died in extrajudicial assassinations. That's like a drive-by shooting, I believe. 2,200 political prisoners died in a hail of heart attacks. Cuban workers typically make from $17 to $30 a month, according to The Economist magazine. $17 to $30 a month. Maybe that's why they prefer donkeys. Let's play that cut again for our new listeners in this hour. Okay, this is from Brian Williams. It's hard to fill up your car with gasoline, especially if it's a DeSoto from the 1950s, if you make $17 a month. Armando Lago, a Harvard-trained economist, estimates almost 78,000 people may have died in trying to flee the dictatorship. I mean, most of them have drowned, I guess, in the Caribbean, trying to get to Key West. I assume a few of them have been eaten by sharks. An estimated 14,000 Cubans were killed in Fidel's revolutionary adventures abroad. He sent 50,000 troops to Angola. He fought the HIV epidemic by imprisoning gays. You know, I used to have a night when I was in prep school. I got a nice in my senior year. I got this nice AM/FM shortwave radio. Wasn't much else to do at night after the sun went down. I wasn't going on a lot of dates at the all boys school, you know. So I would mess around with the shortwave radio, and Radio Havana came in pretty clearly. You know what they used to do on Radio Havana on a regular basis? They used to read letters from dead U.S. servicemen in Vietnam. The Viet Cong, would take them off the bodies of slain American servicemen, and then they would just they would give them to the Cubans, and then the Cubans would broadcast it on Radio Havana to try to destroy morale in the U.S. And they'd read the names of the dead servicemen too. This is the guy that's he was a legendary orator. Here's Brian Williams.
Brands, and but it's still one of those nations where you see donkey carts alongside cars, trucks, and buses in downtown Havana, because that's exactly what they'd rather have for transportation.
This isn't that different from when the relations were quote unquote normalized a few years ago. There were a lot of these same Brian Williams types who were saying, well, if you got the money you can get down there. You might want to go down there now before capitalism. They didn't say it quite that way, but that's what they meant. Before capitalism gets in there, and instead of having those cars with fins, riding around, you'll have Mercedes and diesels, and instead of having to queue up for some slop, they'll have American chain restaurants. Like it was going to be a step down. To get that all these people were suddenly going to be able to make a decent wage. It's just I don't know. It's really something. Every day the media are more appalling, and this is just another indication of how they've lost their way. Okay, this half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Carr Guys. Do what I did and what Grace did and call the Carr Guys to get yourself a great used car. Call their new number, 800-300-4600. That's 800-300-4600. I'm Howie Carr.
There's only one Howie Carr.